Hello and welcome to our Mission TV show, the special edition here in Atlanta at the 59th session of the General Conference of Seventh-day Adventists. What a privilege it is to be here with so many friends and delegates from around the world, nearly 40 to 50,000 people, all in one place. What a beautiful experience. We have today with us a special guest. We have Joe Garza, and I've known him for several years, and there is a very special thing we're going to find out today. You will not want to miss some of the details. It may change your life. Joe, welcome to our Mission TV show this morning, and I'd like to ask you to introduce yourself a little bit. Tell us a little bit more about yourself before we go into the actual meat of the material.
Okay, well, I am from Mexico. I was born in Mexico, and I had the opportunity to become a Seventh-day Adventist almost 30 years ago. And it was a blessing to be part of the people of God. And of course, we had this idea of the Lord coming as soon as possible. And, you know, we live with this desire. In my case, I happened to work for the food companies in America, and we were blessed during the time that we worked there. There were a lot of increase in the sales. Our products were known. Well, maybe I should say this before. I used to work in advertising before being a Seventh-day Adventist. When I worked for the food companies, I applied the principles of advertising into the food companies, and that was in Mexico. And the sales not only doubled, but they went 4 times, they quadruple the sales. They went 10 times in 4 years. So it was a big blessing. And when we came to the US, we worked in a different field, literature evangelism. And, you know, visiting people and being in the front lines of our church with the literature ministry. And there was a program, changes in the program here and there, so we work in different fields. But now we are returning to our roots, if you will, which is advertising. Now we have come up with this idea that we can effectively communicate our message, not only using television, radio, internet, but also using outdoors.
So your background in advertising and marketing basically you became an Adventist, you took it into the food health message of the Adventist Church. God bless that, you were very successful, but the wheels started turning in your heads, and now you have this idea how to use those skills to reach more people. Tell us more about your ideas.
Exactly. Well, maybe I should start with a little presentation that I have here, and I have a title for it. The title is Advertising the Advent, because the ministry, as we want to say at the end, has to do with that. Advertising, we know that has the power to change perceptions, attitudes, and habits. We know that our perceptions, attitudes, and habits are what shape our character. Speaking of characters, every single day, probation closes for thousands. In order to the end, according to the CIA World Factbook, as of 2009, the world population reached 6.7 billion people. Every day we have 137 million being added to the population of the world, and a lot of people dying. 56 million pass away every year. And as we see in this graphic, and we're going to see this, the growth of the church is going at one rhythm while the population of the world is going to another. We see on the left we have the millions of people. On the right we have the years, from 1800 to the year 2000, and even now. The red line shows our world, the world population. It goes from 900 million people in 1800 to all the way now we have 6.7 billion in 2008. And the estimations are very, very big. And this is our church in the bottom.
About 1844 started.
1863 when we were established,
incorporated.
To today. As we notice, the gap, the longer we wait, the gap becomes bigger and bigger. So this is something that we have to take care now. We cannot afford to be waiting till something else happens. So we cannot continue falling behind. It is very important for us. And however, Jesus' commands tell us, go into all the world and proclaim the gospel to every person, to every creature. If we had the same number of members, this is the comparison today. This is our church and this is the world. What we have to do to reach this. And even if we had, our church hasn't changed in these many years. This is our church today, this is the world today, and this is the church in 1863, and this is the church, okay, we pass it too fast, but let me go back to this a little bit. So even if we hadn't changed, we will still be behind.
At the current rate of growth.
We will still, exactly, we will still behind, and it is very serious, because if we are behind on this, okay,
I guess
in 145 years, you know, it went back to this.
Okay. This is where we are now.
This is where we are now, and this is what we were in 1863. So even if the church the world hasn't changed,
the ratio is almost the same. It's growing.
Yeah, it is serious, this. Okay. And we have to advertise. We have to do something about this. We cannot afford not to advertise the message. And besides, the word advertise in English comes from the word advertir, which means to warn.
To warn.
We must warn the world.
That's right.
And if we were to use words for word proclaim, preach, announce, blast, broadcast, other synonyms.
Now, I don't know if it can be paused or not. I don't know if that pauses.
I guess not.
Okay. Well, you can return here in a minute.
Yes.
We have heard that the church is accomplishing. We're doing great. Mm-hmm. Basically, good news, good news, good news. Everybody can be comfortable. We can sit back because there's nothing else to do. Everything is being done. But from these graphics, we can show that the work is even getting worse. It's greater.
The difference increases. The longer we wait, the harder it's going to be. So we cannot afford to stop there and just, you know. And okay, so one man once says that the man who stops the clock to save time is as the person that doesn't advertise. So we cannot do that. And we see advertising everywhere we go, all over the world. Everybody's trying to sell their products or services. We have a better product than the gospel, so we cannot afford not to do it. Mm-hmm. The big corporations spend billions of dollars every single year. The marketeers, the main companies in the planet, spends a lot of money, billions of dollars, to keep their products or services in the eye of the public. So we cannot just be there. We have a better product than anything.
Yes, you know, we do have a beautiful product.
Much better product, and eternal life for the world. So, and this is only a sample. I mean, the presentation is kind of long. Success is a key. The key to success in this case in any business is marketing, advertising. And we have to market our message to the world. We have to stop dreaming, and we have to start working. At the beginning of our church, our pioneers had this concept very clear. There was this man called William Ward Simpson. He prepared evangelistic materials, and also he made these paper mache figures showing the beast of Revelation. And that way, he brought them across town, showing them. And that was in 1906. After that, basically we stopped doing evangelistic outdoor advertising. We do some public relations advertising, you know, like here in Atlanta you see that. So we see that this graphic sounds intimidating. However, using advertising, we can make this graphic look small, as we're going to see in a moment. And it is not a fantasy. It is something that we can do. A few steps from here, we have the Coca-Cola Museum. Imagine, they are a pure example of how we can get the word out and do marketing, because a product is just as good as the marketing. Mm-hmm. And we can do that with newspapers, radio, television, and the internet. Always keeping in mind that we need to put content. They do it with advertising, content advertising. Our pioneers were inspired by God to own the printing facilities, to own the
publishing houses.
Yeah, the publishing houses. Today, I'm sure this is why we say, hey, let's go buy radio stations, buy TV stations, and you are doing that. So this is part of that. What if we can get also the units for producing our own advertising? That's what we're trying to do. That's what this ministry that is beginning is trying to do. We have a burden for taking the message to the masses and reach them where they are, on the streets, you know, as they drive, as they. Okay, well, the presentation shows different ways to reach multitudes, and we have been using some of them a little bit, but mainly the problem is that media is very expensive. So we have is something that, besides we don't have, in many cases we don't own massive facilities for blasting the message to the world. And our church can use them for advertising the message. I'm not saying only proclaim, but I'm substituting the word proclaim, preach, for advertising.
Okay.
And as we see, this is going to be a little fast, but there are different ways to advertise, and some of them are more expensive than others. Some can be really expensive. Direct mail is $487 for reach 1,000 people. For reaching 1,000 people is a lot. Television is less expensive, it's much better. We're going to see this group only in a minute. So this is television, and then this is the cheapest one, which is billboards, internet, radio, and newspapers, and go on. But okay, $2.26 seems to be cheap, but when you're talking about millions, becomes $3,000 per month or $4,000 per month, which is really expensive. And we are using, outdoor advertising has several advantages. One of them is that it can be targeted to different people. We can reach them where they are. It's hard to ignore. Sometimes I see a sign, I don't like it, I have to bear with it because I have to keep driving. So it is something that occurs. And it reaches drivers, passengers, and pedestrians. Very important. And it's mobile. In our case, it's mobile, as we're going to see now. So it moves from one place to the other.
We're getting closer to this.
Yes, we're getting closer to this, the final point. And it can be 98% less expensive than TV, 88% less expensive than newspapers, and 75% less expensive than radio. And it has a compounding effect. Repeats the message over and over, bombards, if you will, the message. So that's called branding. Besides that, it's active 24/7, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. And what can we say about billboards? This is what we have. Two ends of the spectrum. Billboards and what it costs, $3,000, $2,500 per month, versus what we have. The rule is if you reach a certain number of people per month, you multiply it and you get the number. For example, 44,250 people per day become 1.something million, 1.5 million per month, and you pay based on that.
Okay.
You're reaching 1.5 million people, so you pay for that. A vehicle can be an instrument of advertising. The message becomes an evangelistic instrument in God's hands. A single vehicle can do great things. Market studies tell us that one vehicle in a city with 100,000 people, if you drive the vehicle 8 hours a day, you're gonna get 5,000 impressions. 5,000 people will see your ad. And maybe some will see it 2 or 3 times. Great, this is called branding. And compare billboard, 1.3 million impressions per month, $3,000. And after that, after 1 month, you have zero value, nothing else. With 10 vehicles, we can get more than that. 10 vehicles can produce 1.5 million impressions in 1 month, and of course, driving in 8 hours. But doing that, we can produce 1,000 impressions with 1 penny. With 1 penny, we can produce 1,000 impressions. 1,000 people, impacts or impressions. So it is less expensive. We are comparing here, comparing 1 billboard, 1 month, what it costs, the price, versus using decals. In this case, the outdoor advertising decals. This is using mail, and also we have the comparison using other means, but I might not show them all here. The number of people that you can reach in 5 years, you can reach almost 1 million people, versus when you can reach with a 1 billboard only 1 month, you reach
one expense, you put it on and you forget about it.
So these are some of the samples that we have. 1 vehicle, 1 hour a day. You might say, well, nobody drives 8 hours a day. Well, 1 hour produces 625 impressions per day. In 1 hour per day, 1 car. Amazing. And now multiply that for a year, 228,000 in 1 car, 1 hour. So we can effectively multiply that, factorize it, times 1,000 vehicles, 10,000 vehicles, 100,000 vehicles. You see the numbers become really big. 228 million here, 2.2 billion here, and 22 billion there. Do you remember that graphic that we showed before that it seems so intimidating? Now, with the power of advertising, we can produce more impressions than the number of people on the planet.
Now we have about 20 million, nearly 20 million Adventists, of which a great number of them, probably the majority, drive vehicles.
Exactly.
So it's about mobilizing people to just put a sticker on their car.
As you can see, the numbers are start making this graphic small. Why? Because the number of impressions are higher, bigger than this.
Yes.
And if we were to reach 500,000 vehicles, 500,000 Adventists in the world using this myth, look at the graphic. So we are talking about 114 billion impressions. And 500,000 vehicles is only 2.5 of the church, 2.5% of the church worldwide membership. So it is amazing. We decide at what speed do we want to preach the gospel. This speed, while the devil is preaching to a much faster, he's going in a race car when we are, just going very slow. We cannot afford to do that.
That's right.
We cannot afford this. So that's why I wanted to share this with you. We can reach people where they are. Millions of people today drive hundreds and hundreds of miles.
Now I know your graphic, your presentation goes a little longer.
I know.
But let's turn a little bit to the practicality of how to get this done. Is there another extremely important point you want to do on your presentation, or can we talk a little bit about how to make this happen?
I'm glad you asked, because if we don't do it, there are others that are doing it. If we don't advertise in the outdoors, there are others that are doing it.
They will do it.
Look at this graphic. This shows something that was published in the New York Times, and it's in London. They are publishing the No God message. And this is repeated in Barcelona, Berlin, in New York, Chicago, Calgary, Ontario, and different capitals of the world. They are putting resources together. They are working together to preach the No God message. What are we doing? We cannot proclaim in secret. Cannot be done.
I really would like to focus in our last minutes on how this has happened. Now, this involves individuals making decisions. People who have a few resources can have these printed. Others who don't can at least get them and put them on their cars. You can do it on your own computer and paste it in the window.
Well, what we are doing is we're producing these decals, so they're very affordable, and we are distributing this. We have done with other ministries. As a matter of fact, we have about 5,000 of those out there in different parts. And we produce some for the World Cup in South Africa. And they are bringing results, they are bringing web hits. These are in the Philippines, the taxis.
So in this case, we're advertising Bible Universe, which send in multiple languages.
Oh, yeah.
And I think there's another BibleInfo.com. There's multiple sites, but this is specialized to reach multiple languages, multiple cultures. And if you just point into that one, I remember I was going to Atlanta 3 or 4 years ago to the airport, and I just saw one black shirt with one web page on it. I won't mention what it is, but it wasn't positive. But it has never left my mind. I only looked at it once, and I've never forgotten it.
Yeah, that's called branding.
That's called branding. and if we all did this, it's free advertising. If we took the time to advertise the web page and let people go to it who are looking for answers. Continue. We need to kind of give us some final ideas of where you want this to go. How do you expect to make this happen?
Well, our ministry name is Adventising.
Adventising.
Adventising. And the motto will be advertising the Advent. And we are ready to help the ministries, like your ministry. I think we're gonna do something together and help our friends, our viewers of this. Go into our website, they can learn more, get in touch with us if they want to, or support TV stations, support radio programs, support web page that proclaim the message. And it is the best investment. Your vehicle, when you do this in your vehicle, your vehicle becomes an instrument of God. It even reinforces your own belief, it affirms you in the message, because you're continually seeing that in your rear view mirror. Oh wow, I shouldn't speed because I am proclaiming the message. I'm an ambassador of Jesus. So, and that's what I can say at this time. But I think the possibilities are endless. I know that we're limited in time. But I will invite people to go if they want to come to our website. Our website is www.advertising.com.
Advertising.com.
Advertising.com.
It's easy to spell. It's not too hard. Everybody can figure that out.
Advent and then .com. Exactly.
You have heard this very interesting presentation. Every Seventh-day Adventist in the world who drives a vehicle should see this presentation. We cannot afford to drive with empty bumpers and empty windows when we live in a world that we only have a few months to a few short years left in world's history. We have to take advantage of every opportunity. I would like to encourage you to log on to advertising.com. Or if you're on the other side of the world, you see this on the internet and you want to do the same thing. If you can just print it, put it on your bumper, put it in your window, advertise a web page that will lead people to the answers that they're looking for. Jesus is coming soon. We cannot afford to lose any opportunity to reach a dying planet. And God will use surprising methods. We are told that it will be simple methods that God will use to finish the work. Joe, I'm very grateful to have you here. Thank you for this sharing this God-inspired idea with us. We're grateful for your idea. Please working. We're willing to work together, everything. We'll do the little bit we can, but every one of us should spread the word. I invite you, do your part. Invest your time, your resources, your money to spread the word. Jesus is coming back soon, and very soon it will all be over. But we will have done our part. Thank you for joining us in a special edition of MissionTV.com here at the 59th session of the General Conference of Seventh-day Adventists in Atlanta. I hope you've been blessed. I have. May you have a blessed day.
Oh, there is power in the name
God bless
of
you.
Jesus.